Thank you for indulging me. My name is Randy Goodwin, and I'm lucky enough to be an advisor for the Nelson. I want to thank Lee for curating this incredible show, Rennie, Robin, and Katrina for putting it together, and the friends and the administration of UC Davis for their vision, hard work, and gracious humor. This is an absolutely wonderful facility and I'm very optimistic and excited about the Nelson in the future, and I look forward to walking in a new museum over by the Mondavi in the not too distant future. I love Roy DeForest. This is the drawing I'm talking about today. This untitled work represents for me the genius, bravery, and humor of DeForest. Lee last night talked about making art accessible. I don't know of another artist that is more accessible than Roy DeForest. The following is a quote I found from a New York Times article dated March 1975, the month I graduated from high school, where I snuck out. This is the quote. As an eccentric individual creating fantasy art with the amazing intention of totally building a miniature cosmos into which the artful alchemist could retire with all his friends, animals, and paraphernalia. When I spend time with DeForest's work, I am his friend. His journey is my journey. I grew up in the high desert of Southwest Texas, roaming through sand dunes, chasing lizards, catching horny toads. My mother was a journalist who, from time to time, would throw oil at canvas, who had dreams of being a hippie outside the constraints of society and her family. In 1968, she ushered us, or directed us on a trip from Texas to California. We went to Berkeley, San Francisco, and Golden Gate Park. I was a kid with a crew cut, listening all of a sudden to the Grateful Dead. I imagine, running across Art Crum and his wife handing out Zap comic books on Telegraph. And in my imagination now, knowing DeForest, and as Lee said, the Davis Five were here creating art. Art with a freedom and joy unimagined until this time. Journeys such as this trip with my family have never left me. That vacation continues today. My older brother surreptitiously, while we were in Berkeley, collected issues of the Berkeley Bar, Zap comic books that he hid in his underwear drawer. Well, we shared that drawer, so when I knew I was alone, I would surreptitiously take those out. And my memory is like a sieve, but for some odd reason, I have a very, very vivid memory of one of Art Crum's comics. And I paraphrase, but there's a quote from that comic: "While awake, you may visit the zoo, but while sleeping, the zoo visits you." That, for me, is the DeForest experience. It is not mere observation or intellectual meandering. It is a journey of experiences and interactions where the DeForest landscape and its inhabitants visit you. I spent my college years in Montana, Bozeman, Montana, Montana State University in the early 80s in the architecture department. And at that time, and still, MSU was really a school of engineering with art, architecture, music on the periphery. Well, I was lucky enough to have, to be part of that periphery and to be pushed to the outside with the art department. Deborah Butterfield and John Buck, who still live in Bozeman, were guest professors. I can't say I ever took a class from them, or I even knew they were there at the time, but that vibrance that DeForest brings was there in Bozeman. I saw Arneson speak, and I've seen dozens of architects, famous, regional, speak over the course of my professional life. But frankly, I don't remember any of them. I remember the Arneson talk like it was yesterday. His work, his anarchic presence, and the fact that he was surrounded by this kind of cadre of beautiful, athletic, young Bozeman women just rocked me, absolutely rocked me. And he mentioned that they were, I mean, he was getting through his talk that he was anxious to get out. He was anxious to hit the pubs. And again, in my imagination and my desire at the time, I thought, invite me. I wasn't invited, but that was a part of my journey with DeForest. DeForest, as I've said, constructed images from a very private mythology, full of fantasy and lyricism, Byzantine colors, irreverence, farce, energy, humor, and gut instinct. In 1965, Roy joined the University of California at Davis faculty. And as Lee said, the Davis Five, he joined a very high wattage department. We are surrounded by their unique joy here, and the Nelson is a wonderful place to experience that. This untitled work by DeForest represents his sly, happy, colorful world of animals and people, and has a quality that stretches the conscious into the world of dreams. This work animates ordinary people and objects into the sublime and divine. DeForest is the coyote trickster. I don't know, I did this at home too. I get really emotional when I read this. I do, I love this painting, or this drawing. DeForest is a coyote trickster that disrupts, chastises, disgusts, and amuses. His dogs are companions and friends with an air of ribald carnality. He is the quintessential artist, coyote, trickster, and wise man. Enjoy your journey.